Welcome to Lesser Known Cryptids. I'm your host, Rickey Rat. Tonight, we'll hear a first-hand encounter with the Grub Girl, as told by one of our loyal subscribers. Like the Toad Man of New Zealand or the dreaded black-eyed children, Grub Girl is a creature of horror and disgust, a repulsive being hell-bent on driving her victims into madness. Beware. This is where things get stupid.
I recently moved to San Francisco, a sprawling, twisted jungle of a city, far bigger than anything I'm used to and absolutely crawling with human wreckage. And to make matters worse, it was the Christmas season, a time for peace and goodwill where I come from. But here, in this godless den of socialism and hypocrisy, it felt more like the birth of a new dark age, wrapped in twinkling lights and the stench of stale urine. Now, don't get me wrong, San Francisco is a paradise when viewed from the right angle. But here at street level, the view is far less kind. The sidewalks here aren't just dirty, they're biblical. Rivers of human filth winding between and around makeshift tents, carrying discarded needles and used condoms like horrible little ships on their way to hell. Every corner reeked of broken dreams and cheap hookers. Merry Christmas indeed. The streets swarmed with freaks, mutants, and criminal invaders from lands unknown, some decked out in stained Santa hats or blinking reindeer antlers. They stumbled and moaned like dying cattle at a satanic petting zoo. Not everyone was a degenerate, sure, but sweet baby Jesus, enough of them were. Some moved slowly and aimlessly until they caught sight of you, and then they'd make their unsteady approach, demanding a cigarette or money. Many stood hunched over as if scouring the gutters for lost bits of their soul, or maybe a leftover sandwich, their bodies swaying slightly to some twisted, unheard melody. Sometimes I'd see something that didn't even look human. A wobbling creature stitched together by bad tattoos, cheap drugs, and holiday despair. Every day brought a new parade of depravity, a never-ending sleigh ride straight into hell. I'll admit it, I was naive. I came from a simpler place, a town where Christmas meant clean streets, spiked eggnog, and grandmothers knitting sweaters, not crackheads getting into fistfights over a half-eaten fruitcake. I thought I was prepared for California. I thought I was tough enough to handle a little culture shock. I was wrong. Christmas in San Francisco isn't about presents or family, it's about raw survival. Another day spent dodging steaming sidewalk landmines, another night ducking empty bottles of cough syrup hurled by deranged junkies with dead eyes and shattered dreams. Down here at street level, Christmas cheer is long dead and forgotten. Just another day for the zombies, murder, assault, prostitution, and narcotics coursing through the gutters like liquid sin. The smell of burning trash and piss hangs heavy in the air. Santa's got a needle in one arm and a rusted knife in the other. California didn't just greet me, it tackled me, ripped off my pants, and tried to mount me. God help us all. I was lucky, if you could call it that. I didn't live out there among the feral sidewalk dwellers rooting through garbage and shrieking at the moon. I had 4 walls, a nearly roach-free apartment to call my own. But the streets were unavoidable. You had to move through them quickly, eyes straight ahead, like running across a minefield you knew was already rigged to blow. Most days I caught a cab, windows up, doors locked, blasting old punk songs through my earbuds to drown out the howling outside. But not tonight. No, tonight I was on foot, alone, weaving my way through the urban battleground after getting separated from the drunken herd of co-workers and acquaintances I had somehow acquired. It had all started at a makeshift office Christmas party, a stinking, sweaty mess of plastic Santas and warm beer, where everybody wore those cheap red hats and pretended to tolerate each other. Then someone, probably named Trent or Blaine, had the bright idea to head to a dive bar on the far side of town, a place that, in the cold light of sobriety, no sane person would ever willingly enter. At the time, it made perfect sense. Of course it did. I was drunk enough to believe that more alcohol might get me laid or something. I don't know. Like I said, I was drunk. Somewhere between the party and the dive bar, I lost track of the group, swallowed whole by the shuddering crowd of human detritus spilling through the streets. Now I was alone, shivering, weaving unsteadily down a piss-soaked sidewalk lit by buzzing green and red lights strung haphazardly across sagging telephone poles. My stomach churned. I needed to find a shortcut, a quicker path to the imagined safety of the bar. I needed to get off the street fast or risk ending up face down in a puddle with my kidneys posted on Craigslist. That's when I saw it. An alley, narrow and grim, slashing between two derelict buildings like an infected knife wound. It didn't look inviting exactly, but compared to the packs of homeless junkies prowling the streets, it looked almost serene. I pulled my jacket tight, muttered something incoherent to the spirits of bad decision-making, and slipped into the darkness. The smell hit me first, rotting meat and gasoline, thick enough to chew. The alley walls were streaked with graffiti and unidentifiable slime. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, but it was too late. I was committed. Dodging broken bottles and bags of trash, I managed to navigate my way deeper into the gaping maw of the alley. Looking up, I spotted something at the far end. A figure draped in shadow, standing dead still under a flickering street lamp, barely more than a silhouette against the greasy night. A woman, maybe. Hard to tell through the shadows. She was fat, squat, with thick pigtails that stuck out on either side of her lumpy head like grotesque antennae. She wasn't moving, just standing there, waiting. I stopped, heart hammering in my throat, as the cold realization sank in. I was trapped in the alley with whatever the hell that thing was. My heart jackhammered in my chest as I leaned over and fired a vicious stream of puke toward a nearby dumpster. I missed spectacularly, splattering a previously unseen street urchin who had been taking shelter in the shadows. "I'm so sorry," I belched. He raised a grubby hand and gave me a thumbs up, as if being sprayed in vomit was just par for the course. Just then, the stink hit, a monstrous greasy stench that bulldozed over the usual alleyway bouquet of rot, piss and stale beer. It sliced through the night air like a pimp's razor across a whore's cheek. Sharp, sudden, and unforgiving. My attention snapped back hard to the repulsive silhouette waiting at the far end of the alley. I could just make out a sickly bluish halo shimmering around its head. Too far for details yet, but sweet baby Jesus, it was moving closer with every ragged beat of my heart. I wanted to run, but my body refused to listen. Fear had me nailed to the ground. Death was coming. I could smell it. Again and again, the filthy wind blew past the abhorrent abomination and slammed into me like a rancid armpit in a heat wave. An odor thick with fast food grease, dead ambition, and the bitter tang of resentment. It hit my brain like a brick wrapped in barbed wire. Closer now, I could hear it muttering and grunting like it was berating some unseen specter. 20 feet away, and now I could finally see it clearly. And holy hell, it was worse than I ever could have imagined. Blue hair, greasy and clumped like a deranged clown. A bloated face stapled with so much metal, it looked like someone had tried, and failed, to assemble a woman out of bad childhood memories and more than a hint of rejection. Every piercing screamed the same question: "Where were you, Daddy?" Just when I thought I was done for, when madness had wrapped its greasy hands around my throat, I heard it. The sound of sleigh bells drifting down from somewhere overhead. The spell shattered. My legs unfroze. I turned on my heels and ran like a hippie from a job offer. I don't know how long I ran, minutes, hours, years maybe, but eventually I found myself slumped in a dingy coffee shop, babbling like a lunatic to a bunch of glazed-eyed strangers. To my surprise, they didn't laugh. They didn't even blink. No, they leaned in close and told me the truth. Sightings like mine weren't rare around here. I was lucky, they said, lucky to have escaped with my sanity, or what little of it I had left. They spoke in hushed tones about the beast known as Chub Girl, a blue-haired banshee, a howling monstrosity who roamed the streets and alleyways of San Francisco, driving the unwary mad with her endless screeching, idiotic chants, delusional political ravings, and wild, foaming accusations of racism against anything that moved. Had it not been for those blessed bells, I might still be out there, slumped in a gutter, mumbling apologies to lampposts and barking at the fucking moon. It was a Christmas miracle, not the kind shown in movies or told in storybooks, but the kind that leaves you angry and reeking of vomit. So that's it. That's my story. Believe it, don't, I don't give a damn. The grub girl is out there, screeching through the shadows, infecting the air with madness and cheap perfume. I know what I saw, and now I get to carry that lovely memory like a tumor wrapped in tinsel for the rest of my miserable life.
Well, that sure was one terrifying story. If you've had an encounter with a rare or lesser-known cryptid, don't keep it to yourself. Send us your story. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, reality can be thin in places, so watch your step.
Thanks for watching this crappy video. And please hit the like button, or no one will like you.